Ashe, Ma'at, Otep. This is The Truth May Hurt. My name is Raymond Witcher, and I will be your host. Um, this presentation is titled Who Will Be the Next New God? Okay. And I'm starting right here with the Willie Lynch letter because I want to bring out some things that I'm doing in the presentation. What I want to pay attention to is the language where he's talking about never let slaves know English. Let them know enough English that they can understand what you're trying to tell them, but not enough that they can break the code. Okay? English is the easiest language. But when it comes down to colonization and Hellenization and removing the natives from their native language and introducing them to English, they know how to speak English in code. That's what it's talking about. So right here it's talking about control language, crossbreeding complete. Previously above, they're talking about how they will crossbreed the slaves, mixing the good white blood with the poor nigger woman blood, who produce the shade of colors they want. They don't want it. They didn't want dark skinned Africans. They didn't want dark skinned blacks. They wanted like my color, okay, a lighter shade. We'll get down into, I think doing some presentations, I'm just gonna pick out some things out of Willie Lynch and explain them to you so that you can apply them to what I'm showing you in the Bible and everything I'm showing you, because everything ties together. Okay, so now he's explaining to the masters, the plantation owners, how to control the language. And he says, after crossbreeding complete, for further severance from their original being. Now remember, he above said that you have to break the nigger of a horse. You have to break the natural nature of the nigger like you break the natural nature of the horse. Now he's saying that all of this is complete. To separate them further from their original being, we must completely annihilate them from their mother tongue. Okay? Of both the new nigger and the new mule, and institute a new language that involves the new life work for both. You know, language is a particular institution. It leads to the movement through levels of that society. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy to the country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion or of a foreign culture. For example, if you take a slave, you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then more than a slave. For you cannot fool him any longer. Read that again. You cannot fool him any longer. And being a fool is one of the basic ingredients of any incidents to the maintenance of the slavery system. Okay, keep that in mind. I'm gonna show you one other thing. We're gonna get into the presentation. I need to go up. Right now, where am I going? Okay, where I've highlighted here. You can read the above, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. But this is directly associated with, as you can read more above, is talking about stripping the black man, making him worthless, where he can't defend his family and anything. And now they're concentrating on how to train and break the black woman. And it says, for orderly future, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety of division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Psychological and physical instructions of containment must be created for both. We hold 6 cardinal principles as truth to be self-evident based upon the following disclosure concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and the nigger together, all inclusive of the 6 principles laid below. I'm not going to read the principles, but you can read the principles. I just want you to understand this is a training document that they put on every plantation throughout the Americas, the Caribbeans, and everywhere else. Okay? So I wanted to show you that, and we're going to move on. Okay? Okay, we're going to get on into the presentation. This is copied from the Willie Lynch letter, all right? And as we get into it, you can read this. This is another where it says, for example, if you told your slaves you must perform in getting out our crops. Okay, that's just another thing about the language. Okay, so let's get down into, I had mentioned to you guys that I wanted you to watch Dr. Ray Hagen's The Castration of the African, where he breaks down verses 1 through 9, but I gave you the wrong chapter. I had mentioned that it is, he breaks down Genesis chapter 11, 1 through 9, but I had told you that it is Genesis 9, 1 through 9. So I kind of went through and kind of broke it down a little bit so that I can show you what he is showing you about how the English language does not reverse search translate to the definition of a Hebrew word to the meaning of the verses. So we're going to take a quick look at that, all right? I wanted to bring this back out because this is from the last video I did on the African Holocaust Exposed. And down here, I didn't mention this, and I need to point this out. I mentioned that the religious leaders and important people of the world had gone up, 40,000 of them went back up on Mount Sinai to get 10 Commandments. But if you read here, it says this event took place alongside the COP27 and the United Nations gathered for climate control on Mount Sinai. All right. Then you go to here and it says notable U.S. politicians, including Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, attended the summit to promote their new religion and new God. You see it right here? When I tell you that they have a new world religion, they're going to have new commandments, they're going to have a new God, because this age of Pisces is done. Okay? So you read it right here. Notable U.S. politicians and activists, including Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, attended this summit to promote their new religion and new God, properly known as climate change. Okay, so we're going to keep on going, all right, because I want to get into this presentation. So Dr. Ray Hagen's, he breaks down Genesis 11, verses 9 through 1. And when you do that, verse 1 says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. So when I highlight something, those are the words that we're going to break down, reverse word search, and then we're going to put the definition of the Hebrew definition into the scripture and reread it, okay? So we're going to look at whole earth. The Hebrew word is eretz, which means the inhabitants of a land, okay? The next word we're looking at is one language, okay, which is echad in Hebrew. Echad is a Hebrew word that translates into each and every one was one another, the one, the other, one after the other, one by one times one. Okay? All of that is the definition of the Hebrew word echad, which translated into English in this verse as one language. Okay? So it's saying they were each other at all times, all were one, regardless of how many. Okay? Now we're going to look up and reverse word search language, and it is Hebrew word seplar, which means a language that is powerful. It binds the people. Okay? And the next word that we're going to look up is speech. And speech reverse translates into the Hebrew word dabar. Dabar means words, speaking, understood, saying, utterance of business or occupation. So if we go back now and reread verse 1, and it says, and the inhabitants, because whole earth means inhabitants of the land, language. Okay. Let me see, I go back. Okay, the bar of the land were so much one that all were one, that they were band together in thoughts and experience as one. So what this verse is talking about, there are people, and I'm gonna tell you who they're talking about. They're talking about Africans. I'm gonna go ahead and get to the good point, the sweet point. They're talking about there were Africans that were the inhabitants of a land that were so much one that all were one, that they were band together in thoughts and experiences as one. Meaning, they didn't have to talk. They didn't have to speak. Their frequency. Go back and look at my presentation on spiritual frequencies. These people's frequencies were so aligned, so in tune, that when I thought something, everybody in this land knew what I was thinking, and I didn't even have to speak. They were so much one that they were never two. Wow. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. The next verse. Now I'm doing the best I can. I can't do it as good as Dr. Hagins, but I'm giving you enough that you can see how it's done. You can do it for yourself. All you need to do is get I think it's the Strong's exhaustive, hold tight. I want to tell you how to do it. Okay, to do this, you need a Strong's exhaustive concordance of the Bible. And when you have that, you can look up any word in the scripture. You can look up any word in the scripture, and you can reverse word search it, like journey is Nasa. Right? And then you can reverse word search the definition of the Hebrew word and get the Hebrew definition, and you can reinsert it and reread it, and you're going to have a different meaning in a lot of cases, not in all cases, because remember what I showed you in the Willie Lynch letter? They speak in code, okay? And they never allowed us to understand the code, okay? So let's break the code. You know, that's why I can't wait to get to Africa and learn Swahili or one of the African language. And this is what all Africans should be doing. You know, drop the French, drop the German, drop all of these European languages and speak your native language where they can't understand you. Make sense? I mean, I've shown you they speak in code. Okay, this is verse 2. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Okay, so I've highlighted the words that we're going to reverse word select, or the phrases we're going to reverse word select. Come to pass means something happened, an event. Pretty much the same as the English. Came to pass means something happened or event. That's a pretty much direct translation to the English definition, all right? Okay, journey is nasa, and it means, when you look up the Hebrew, pull out of, be removed, made to depart, plucked out, and marched. Okay, we're going to come back and we're going to insert these definitions. It's going to mean something that's going to blow your mind. All right, then we're going to look up the east. The east, kudim, means trigger, I think, which I copied that wrong, which was before, or for time, ancient time, from the earliest time. Plain is the next word we're looking up, and it means a valley, a very low place of existence. Then we're going to look up land, eretz, a Hebrew word, shalom, shal, means hell, a land without return, right? Shinar means Shem'ah, the ancient name for the symbolic territory later known as Babylon. The Roman Catholic Church is Babylon. Dwelt is the next word we're going to look at, and it's yashab. It means to sit down and become set, to remain or stay in place or condition. The last word is there, and it reverse translates to sham, and it means to tether. Okay, now let's go back and read this. So, and it means something happened, okay? And an event happened as they journeyed, as they were pulled out of, removed, made to depart, plucked out of, and marched. Okay, so we have, and an event happened as they journeyed, they were pulled out from the east, which means after time, ancient time. So they were pulled out from their ancient times, from the place that they knew. Okay? And land, it means, and they were put in a hell, and a land without return. So an event happened. They were pulled out from the land and the ancient times that they knew, taken to a very low place of existence. There was a hell that they would never be able to return out of. Ancient name for, okay, this from Babylon, and dwelt is they were made to sit down and stay down, to remain and stay in place. So these people that spoke one language would pull up from the roots of their land, taken to a foreign land. There was a hell that they never could return from. And they depressed them so much that they just stayed in it and stayed in the same condition that they were tied to. This goes deep. All right, let's look at 3. And I want you to go back and watch Dr. Ray Hagan so he can really break it down. I'm giving you an introduction to it so that I can show you that when you read the Bible, we need to understand when they're speaking in code. Now, they're talking about the Africans that they pulled up and brought to America. They pulled them up by the roots. They took their language so that they couldn't communicate anymore. They separated them, all those that knew their own language, away from each other and mixed them in with other tribes that spoke different languages so nobody could talk. That's what this is telling you. Okay, and then when we retranslate it. And some came came about which caused the people. This is the retranslation, okay? And something came about which caused these people to be pulled up, snatched up, marched away from their homes, marched away, which was ancient times before, and taken to hell, which they can't return. That's the retranslation of Genesis 11, verse 2. Okay, spend a little time with it, okay? Do this with your family. This can be something that you can sit down with your children, your husband, your grandparents, everybody, and say, hey, let's do this. Let's do this. Do Genesis 11, verses 1 through 9 on your own, using this as a reference, and see what you get. You're going to get a story of them telling about how they intentionally destroyed. Their intention was to destroy us. They can't understand why they fail. That's why you don't want a round 2 of this. Okay, 3. And they said one to the other, go to and let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. So when you look up the reverse search for they said is amar, meaning boastfully, to boastfully or proudly sit in one's heart, to think with intent, to avow. Okay. Okay. And then we're looking at 1. 1 means man, male, in contrast to woman, the husband. Okay, so said 1. Then another. We're looking at another now. Another is Rhea. Means another person, weak sense to the other. Then we're going to look at go to. Go to it means to ascribe or assign a determination. Make brick is the next word. And it means to make white, to become white, to go purifying, to grow white. That's what make brick retranslates into Hebrew, and the definition means to turn you white. All right. Thoroughly is hajah. It means to become like, to be instituted, be established, to abide, remain, and continue in place and time. Okay. The next word is stone and is eben, and it means sink in water, motionless, purify, with terror, harden heart. And then we have the last one, which is mortar, and it is choke, means more, clay, choker, cement. We're going to retranslate it. And it says, the heads of these homes boldly and proudly, boastfully decided to be like whites. To the point we forget who we are and become motionless and hardened into it. Can't move. So that's what this is saying. This is saying that the husbands will boastfully and proudly sit one's heart to think with intent. So the men are making the decisions now. Okay? They're making the decisions now. Listen, it's easier for us just to convert and be like them. Let's adopt their language. Let's adopt their ways. Let's take their religion. Let's just give in. Okay? It's too much. And we, as the men, we're going to make the decision. We're going to tap out and become like them. Okay? Take your time with it. And if I'm wrong, bring it in the comments and show me that I'm wrong. Then I'll call Dr. Ray Hagins and tell him he's wrong. Okay, so now we are looking at verse 4. And they said, "Go to, let us build us a city, a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." So they said, we're gonna reverse this. That is amat. It means to ascribe or assign. Then build means banha, means to rebuild, establish, cause to continue, new people. City means a place guarded by being awake or a watch person. Tower, migdal, means a tower from its size of height, a pyramid structure. Top, it means the chief, the head man, the priest. Heaven, shamalan, means to the abode is God or ancestors. Make means the act with effect, to attend to, put in order. Okay, name, it translates to Shem. It means to which establishes our reputation, fame, glory, or designated by God, movement. Shattered, it means to depress or scatter. All right, so, all right. So what this is saying is, 6, gotta go back to 5. All right. The one in power came to see that the children of men were doing. They're saying in verse 5, when you look at it, they're sending these head chief priests. This is deep. Okay, they're saying that top means a chief priest, head man, chief priest. Okay, and it's basically saying that this religion that in verse 3 they sold out to is keeping an eye on them. It's monitoring them at all times. It's making sure you're doing what we tell you to do. Okay, and keep in mind that when I was talking about the Casual Killing Act and how they made a law, and I think it was 40 years after we were made slaves in 1619, I think it's 1665, they made the Casual Killing Act to make it legal to beat your slave to death if you were correcting them. Now, the Bible says that if a master beats his slave with a rod and he dies, he shall be punished. But if he beats the slave so bad, but he can get up 2 days later, the master shall not be punished. Now, this just overrode God. It said it's okay, even if you kill him, as long as you were correcting him. Just wanted to bring that in. Okay, so now it's talking about, in verse 4, that the priest and those that have been put in place to keep us in line are going to monitor us. Then we're going to go to 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builder. Lord reverses to means existing one, and hour. Came down means to go down. Take a closer look. Children, it translates to ben, means descendants, future generations. So it translates to the ones in power came down to see what the children of the men were doing. That's the church. Those are the ministers. Those are the ones that are monitoring. Okay, Genesis 11:6. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. All right. When you look up bold, they still became one, as defined one. This is Zeth, means this one here. Began means profane, make common, to defile, pollute, damage, to violate, wound. The new generations are destroying this lie system right now. So we're going to retranslate it. Okay. Okay. Retained means forfeited, inaccessible. The secret mysteries are exposed. Okay. Yeah, I didn't put the translation down, but I'll give it to you. So what this is saying is, and behold, the Lord said, behold. Okay, so the Lord came. Okay. And the Lord said, they still became one. The people is one, and they have all one language. You know what language already translates into? There are so many people that they all don't even need to speak because there's so much in one. Okay, and where it says, and this means this one here, pretty much the same. They began to be profane. These are the young people. They began to be profane, defile, pollute, damage, and violate. They were, pretty much doing what I'm doing now, saying, man, wait a minute. Why are we following this? What was wrong with what we had? Now that I'm finding out that everything they gave us, they took it from the Egyptians and they manipulate it to make themselves God's chosen people. Why that I'm finding out now the truth, I need to be fighting to bring my people out of that. That's what this is talking about. The new generation is tearing down everything when it's put up. Okay? They're tearing it down. They're walking away from the church. They're walking away from religion. They're turning back to spirituality. And that's what this is saying. That these people, the younger generation, the ones that have come out of this post-slavery nap that they've had us in, they're doing their own research. They're finding out the truth. And even though their parents are trying to hold them in line, they're like, no. This is Aquarius now, Mom and Dad. This is Aquarius now. Okay, so we need to understand what the age of Aquarius is. I showed you on the last presentation that the age of Pisces was the age of deception, deceit. It's just the age of trickery, okay? And that was the whole age of Jesus Christ. And I'm pretty sure it is Matthew 28:20, when in the King James Version, Jesus says, I will be with you until the end of the world. But if you go to the NIV, it says, I will be with you until the end of the age. He's only going to be with us until the end of the age of Pisces. That's why the religious leaders went back up onto Mount Sinai for new commandments. It's a new age, okay? But I didn't tell you what is the age of Aquarius. All right? What does the age of Aquarius mean? In this age, there is progressive thinking. During this age, there is focus on each and everyone's individual personalities, and because of this, acting as a unit is achieved. However, there will also be a change in power dynamics during this age. Freedom is given to those who want to choose their own reality. That's what we're talking about here. Reality, right? Everything that we're doing, we're talking about what is true and what's not. And I'm showing you that the Bible is not historical. It only meant to last during the age of Pisces, as far as the New Testament goes. Okay? And I'm showing you here in Genesis 11:6 that this new generation, meaning youth, I would say that in their 20s, 25 and younger, they weren't born in this age of Pisces. They were born in the age of Aquarius, the thinkers, the rational reasoners, the ones that you can tell, man, most kids don't even believe in Santa Claus anymore. It's these adults out here that's tripping on Santa Claus. Most of these kids know that no white man or no other man with a red suit and a white beard got reindeers with a red nose and got elves that's up in the North Pole. Children don't believe that anymore because they are thinkers. That's what this is saying. That these new generation from the offspring of Genesis 11 verses 1, 2, 3, 4, verse 5 says, hey man, they woke up. They woke up, man. That's what it's telling you. Okay. Verse 7 of chapter 11. Let us go down and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Okay? That's verse 7. Okay? Now, confound. We already know that language means that there are people that are so connected in frequency that they don't even need to talk. What one thinks, everybody knows. What one wants, they know to give. There is no need, because when you think it, we know it and you have it. That's how close we were when we were in our homeland in Africa. Okay? And they pulled us up by the root, took us to a foreign land, made it a hell, a place where we are never supposed to be returned to our own nature, culture, spirituality. You're never supposed to be able to return any of that. Then it says confound, which is Bela. Baal means to mix oneself among others and confuse them, to infiltrate and render powerless. Now, I'm not making up these definitions. You can pull up a Strong's exhaustive concordance on the internet and don't have to buy the book. You can look it up for yourself and you'll find the same thing. All right, so we know what language is. So they're going to keep them separate and powerless through the teachings in the Bible and all of these things. Well, we can't connect in frequency anymore because we believe. You got to get out of that belief. Then the next one is understand, and it's Shama, and it means to have power to hear with attention, interest, and to listen. Then another, it means another person, weaker woman. That's what it means. Right? So they are creating a condition that we can't get along to be one again. That's why the men and the women, black men and black women, can't get along. They created this. And when I told you in previous presentations that everything that we're going through, the problems with drugs, the problems with alcohol, the problems in our marriage, problems with our children, is all socially engineered. It's telling you this right here. So when you retranslate this, it's saying that they're going to send people, preachers, pastors, popes, to disrupt our language, to confound our language, that we can no longer communicate because we're in frequency. But not just that, that we can't communicate verbally without cursing each other out, calling each other bees and hoes, niggas. They've broken us down. That's what it's telling you. Among others, and confound, to infiltrate and render powerless. How much power do we have? We don't have any. Listen, when we were freed from slavery in 1865, we owned 1/2 of 1% of American wealth. And today, we only own 1/2 of 1% of American wealth. Showing it to you. Okay? All right. This is 89 and we'll be finished. But take some time and go back, and see and do your own research. Okay? And verse 8 says, so the Lord scattered them abroad from hence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Scattered means to shatter into pieces. Lift means to stop, to cease to be, made to stop. Build means to rebuild, reestablish, restore their heritage. Verse 9 says, therefore, I didn't highlight this one, therefore the name shall be called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. It's talking about us. But God didn't do that. These heathens did that. Okay? And they scattered us in a way that they broke everything about our spirituality, our culture, our history, and everything that we knew, took it away and gave us something to believe in and told us that you're saved now. Saved. You the people we need to be saved from. How can we be saved? So let's get out of that. All right. I want to show you a couple things and we're going to get out of here. I mentioned that France pays Africa in French currency that is worthless in France. Matter of fact, France is on the euro. And if you went on a bank and gave them French money, they would charge you to process it. That's how worthless it is. You would owe them money for using it. And I'm not kidding you. But here are the conditions that they have Africa in. And I want you to hear this.
Is it true most of France's financial wealth right now is still built on
$500 billion a year
Wow.
from Africa?
from Africa?
Wow.
500. That's a lot
And
of
is
money.
it true that the deals are such that an African nation that has this deal with France cannot do business around the world with their natural resources without the first right of refusal with
First
France?
right of refusal is in
And they can
France's
still
hand.
tell them no.
They can still tell them no.
So if they've dug gold, coffee, cocoa,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
they go to France like, hey, you guys want this? And they say, nah. And they say, okay, we're going to sell it over here. France can still say, nah, you can't do that.
Yep.
So insane.
And all those nations still run on the French franc, which is also hilarious because even France has
Goes
the
on the
euro.
euro.
Exactly.
So wait, they buy money from France with their own natural
So, yeah,
resources.
and if they don't
that's not
comply-
even worth anything in France.
Yep. And if they don't comply, the faucet's turned off immediately.
Okay? So you're talking about a game of Monopoly, even the money they give you is worthless. Okay? I think I had one more thing. Let me pause for 1 second. Okay, that's it for this one. We didn't do too bad. I just wanted to show you this. Come out of that circle. Okay? Get out of that circle that limits your growth. Everything that you need to know is not in the circumference of this circle. And when you pull it back and you see how much is outside of it, and once you get a taste, and once you get a sniff of the truth, you're free. Okay? Don't be afraid of all of these things. Do you believe that the people that enslaved you, oppressed you, murdered your family are going to give you a Bible with a God in it that's going to save you from them? Think about it. They would never do that. That goes against every rule of colonialism, Hellenism, and white supremacy. To give you something that's going to bring you out of what they put you in, put us in, and wake us up. They don't want us to wake up. They want us napping. They want us in that post-slavery nap. And that's why I'm bringing this to Africa now. Okay, because you're 200 years behind us. And I'm telling you the process that you're going to have to go through. But you can skip all of it. All you got to do is wake up right now and just tell them, time out. I don't want to play anymore. Game's over. I'm done. I refuse to play. Okay? There's going to be some pain that we're going to have to go through. We're going to go through pain. What have you been through for the last 500,000-700,000 years? Pain. Okay? So, it's no escaping the pain. The pain that we should suffer from this day forward is recovering from everything they took us through. Never call yourself anything derogatory again. You are a goddess and I'm a god. And I will be nothing else or nothing less than that. Teach your children. Teach your grandchildren. Break away from this. Oh, and I'm going to tell you something else. I'm marking myself safe in church like I do every Sunday, like a hurricane. You know how people say, I'm marking myself safe. I'm marking myself safe from church. This is church. Stay in church with me and grow with me. Grow with Dr. Ray Hagins, Hagins. And I promise you, if you get past that fear of going to hell when you die, and look around you and see the hell that you've been living in ever since you've been leaving that, game's done. All right? I'm going to say Ashe. Have a great day.